Okay, so we'll be recording, and I'm going to actually mute everyone so that we don't have any background noise, and we'll be taking questions at the end of the presentation just to make it a little easier. So again, we're recording. It will be available on the website, and we're going to be discussing Management Reporter 2012 tips and tricks. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Lindsay Walsh, who is here in our office.
Hi everyone, this is Lindsay. I am the Marketing Director here at Tidestone Solutions. I'd like to start off Alicia's webinars with just a moment of introducing us for those of you who might not know who we are at Tidestone Solutions. A lot of you we have the pleasure of saying are our customers, but we do have some guests on here who we don't work with on a personal basis. So just like to take a moment to make sure everyone knows who we are and what we do and how we can help. Again, it's Tidestone Solutions, and we are a Microsoft Dynamics GP partner, and we have been doing this for over 20 years. We focus on helping our customers improve their business process, utilizing their ERP, accounting, and other software solutions. We deliver productivity tools. That's our game. We are not just a software seller, we're a customer-focused business partner, long-term relationship organization. We like to work with you to help you grow and to reach your next milestone. And some of the things that we help with is software selection, whether that means selecting an entire new ERP system for companies who are outgrowing QuickBooks, or helping you to find that one piece of add-on software that can streamline a process for you. We help with data conversion. We can integrate applications. We have a very strong development and technical team here. We like to help our customers automate their tasks to reduce keystrokes, save time, create efficiency, and we do training, custom reporting, technical support, everything you can think of about how to use your software to make your business stronger. That's what Tidestone Solutions is about. So without any further ado, I'll hand it back to Alicia, who will be presenting the content today. Management Reporter Tips and Tricks, and after today's webinar I will be sending out a follow-up email that has a link to the on-demand version of this. So again, we're recording and we'll send it to you, so if the content was particularly valuable to you, you can access it whenever you want, show it to other team members. And in that email, there'll also be a very brief link to a 5-question survey. If you can take 5 minutes to fill that out, that would be invaluable to us. So, Alicia, take it away.
Thanks, Lindsay. I would also like to take a minute to introduce Jake Moore. He's new to Tidestone. He's been here a couple of weeks. If you were at the GP user group meeting at NAPI Distributors, you would have met him there. And so we look forward to Jake working with us. He's also in our sales and marketing team, and you'll probably be hearing from him soon. So welcome to Jake. All right, so Management Reporter Tips and Tricks. Again, if you were at the GP user group, some of this may be repeat, but today's session has a little bit more to offer. We have a little more time to spend. So I'm going to show you a few more tips and tricks that hopefully you can take back with you and employ at your office. So the agenda that you see in front of you, I've broken down by the 2 different pieces of Management Reporter. One being the designer and the other being the viewer. So the designer is exactly that. You log into the designer to build your reports, to make changes to your reports, and to generate your reports with a live update to the data. So you're getting the data fresh from the designer. The viewer is where your reports are launched, so they have a date and time stamp on them. And with the viewer, you can have light users, which are users that Microsoft sells for a fraction of the cost of a GP user. They can then access Management Reporter either through an install of viewer or through a website. So having said that, let's just take a look at some of the designer features that we'll be looking at today. One is the report wizard. This was also available in FRX. I don't think people used it very much, but it's now a nice little tool in Management Reporter for people who are building reports from scratch. You don't have to worry about grabbing the P&L counts in the row format, doing all of the formatting. The report wizard does that for you. Another nice feature in Management Reporter is that you don't have to rely on building trees as much. You can report on divisions or departments or different segments in your chart of accounts right from within the row format. We're going to take a look at dimension value sets where we can set up a default group of either accounts or departments that you can select in building any of your reports. We'll look at default base periods on your report definitions, missing account analysis, which is new with 2012, output name versus the report definition, some options that are in your report definition, the ability to add logos, which is new with Management Reporter, but it was also available in 2010. So that's not new to 2012, but it's a nice reminder to all of you who are in FRX who could not add logos. We'll take a look at some auto text features, analytical accounting, some features from 2012 that you can disable the auto apply underline in column headers, report groups, report scheduling, and the wonderful undo that's available in Management Reporter that was not available in FRX. Excuse me. In the viewer, we're going to take a look at how easy it is to drill down to GL transactions from within the viewer, how to add comments to report lines, how to copy those comments for future versions or past versions so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you generate a report for a new period. We'll look at creating charts, pie charts, column charts in the viewer. There's some functionality in the viewer to find data and to go to different sections of your report, which is nice if there are multiple pages. We'll look at launching reports to a URL and the benefit for that. We'll see how easy it is to go through the pages of a report in viewer and the ability to export to an XPS format. We'll also touch base on organizing reports in file folders in not only the designer but in the viewer and exporting to those file folders as well. And the ability to insert external files from within the viewer. So I'm going to just get into my development machine here. There we go. And we're going to take a look at the Management Reporter and the viewer from within this application. So again, Management Reporter has two components. It has the designer, which I'm launching now. And so I'm just going to log in with my credentials. And then it has the viewer, which is the other component where you're going to view reports that you create within the Management Reporter designer. So when you initially launch Management Reporter for the first time, this window will open up, this welcome window. And there's a checkbox that you can uncheck if you don't want this to open each time you launch Management Reporter. But it's a nice overview of some of the options that you have available within Management Reporter. And what I'm going to do from this menu is I'm going to launch the Report Wizard. You can also see up in this toolbar that you can get to the Report Wizard just by this little wand up here as well. So I'm going to launch the Report Wizard, and this is a wizard that walks you through the steps of building a balance sheet or an income statement very easily. So I'm actually going to do an income statement. So I'm going to select from the report templates that are available. I'm going to ask for actual amounts, but I could also ask for any of my budgets that I have set up in Great Plains. And so you see over at the left, these are the available dimensions. And so with GP 2013 and Management Reporter, they're no longer sticking with accounts. They're speaking to dimensions because there's a lot of different information in addition to accounts that you can report on in Management Reporter. So if we look over on the left, we know we can skip all these balance sheet accounts. And so for revenue, over on the right, for my report section revenue, I'm going to go down to my 4000 series. And I'm going to highlight sales. And then I'm just going to come down to the end of sales. And forgive me if I select something wrong for sake of time. So then I'm going to put in my cost of goods. And I can go in and I can put in employee-related type expenses, and I'll grab some of those. I can go and put in other operating expenses. Actually, I noticed I have some other employee-related. I can go back and I can grab additional accounts and put those in there. And then I think just for the sake of time, I'll just grab a bunch of other accounts and add. And I could continue to go on and select all of the accounts. There are additional accounts that should be included in this. But I'm going to just move to the next step, just so that you get a feel for how you can use this tool to work with your chart of accounts. So if I go to the next step, it's showing me what the actual account codes are that I've selected for my report. And you can see it gives it to you in detail. It also is formatting your totals and your headers and footers. And it's also going to calculate your net income and loss. So from here I could shade totals. I'm not going to do that for now. And this next step here, it allows me to create a tree. So if I wanted to be able to use this P&L for different departments or divisions and be able to report on that with a tree, I could do that. For today's purposes, I'm just going to create one report for the entire company. To create a tree, I would just select this radio button here and select which tree that already exists that I want to use. So if I click Next, I can name the report. And I'm going to say, okay, let's generate this as of today, which in my sample company is 2017, so that I can actually see a snapshot of the report right away. So it has built my report, and now it's generating the report. Very quick setup. And so if you're not thrilled with all of the formatting, it's a nice, quick way to get it started. And then you can go in and fine-tune that report. So you can see here I have it over in my list of report definitions. Over here it's telling me what I requested. It also is going to send it out to the management reporter with my output name. And because I said to launch the report right away, it's launching for us now. And you can see that we have some amounts here. Because it's a sample company, we don't have a lot of entries. But you can see that it formatted the report, and I very, very quickly have a P&L. One thing I might not have mentioned earlier is if you have a question, since you're all on mute, feel free to use the chat. I do keep an eye on that. So if you have questions, feel free to put those in there. And if I don't catch them during what you have a question on during that part of the presentation, I'll come back to those. Okay, so that's the report wizard, kind of a nice tool. And again, you could go back to the designer and find to any part of that row or column. So right from the report, I could go into the row, and let's say I didn't want to see all of those sales listed individually. I could just go ahead and make this account 4100 through whatever range I wanted it to be, and then delete the other rows. So it's kind of a nice quick way to get started. So while we're looking at that, let's take a look at how you can use the row format or the row definition. You'll catch me using the FRX terminology. I was with FRX for over 10 years and now management reporter for 2 or 3, so I go back a little bit, so forgive me. So if we look at the row definition, you can see it's very similar to what FRX was, but if we look to the link to financial dimensions, which it used to say link to general ledger, we can see we have more options than just the full account. So the account ends here, 1, 2, 3. So we can break it up and say, for this line, I want revenues for this particular department. So I could have a P&L that just looks at a certain department on each line. So for this company, I could have sales, I could have retail parts in one area. I could have service plans in another area very easily just by using those other dimensions here. You can also break out expenses. Maybe you want to see salaries by department within the P&L versus a P&L by department. So you can do that very easily with the way that you have the dimensions now in the row dimensions, row definitions. Another item that's very helpful are the dimension value sets. And so if we wanted to set up a dimension value set, we have manage dimension sets here, and I have one already set up, or I did. It's gone. We've been refreshing this development site quite a bit. So I'm going to call this cash, because every time I write a report, I don't want to have to go out and find all of my cash accounts. So I'm selecting the first from the list, because that's the beginning of my range, and the end of my list. Now this is a pretty easy one that you could add on your row definition. If you were to look at this company and create one for accumulated depreciation, you'll notice the way that this chart of accounts was set up, that the asset and the accumulated depreciation are intermingled. So you don't have a clear range of assets and a clear range of accumulated depreciation. So this is going to be a hassle for you every time you try to create a balance sheet. So if I wanted to go ahead and create this dimension set, I could go from here and select all of those one time and use them over and over again in other reports. These are available no matter what company you're logged into, or actually what report you're logged into, and you can set them up for multiple companies. So you can see it's tedious if you're building multiple reports. So you can set up a depreciation dimension set. So once those are done, you can then use those in the row here, and I could add, instead of an account, I could select a dimension set. And so I can see what I have for dimension sets available. It's just a nice time saver if you're building reports all the time. If you're someone who builds a report and just uses that report forever after, maybe it's not a big deal. If you're constantly building various versions, this could be a nice little tool for you. Okay, let's go out of the row and go back into our report. So back in our report, you may not pay a lot of attention to your default base period. You may think that whenever you launch Management Reporter, you just have to deal with whatever date it defaults to. But you can drive that default date by using the default base period. It calculates which period will default on the report. You can certainly manually change the base period and base year each time. But over here, I find the most popular is the S-1, meaning system date -1. So if you were today opening Management Reporter, it would open up August. There's also this nice feature, current period, or current period -1, so that you can look in GP at that fiscal period setup. If you're checking off the boxes that the period is closed, Management Reporter will see that and generate the report based on those dates. So that can just be a nice way to quickly get to the base period and base year that you're trying to generate a report for. Missing account analysis. If we look up under Tools, whoops, I'm sorry. And I'm not seeing it here. You know what? I'm in the wrong dev machine. Forgive me. I'm in Management Reporter 2010. So let's go into 2013. And in my 2013, it actually has 2012 installed. And you can see it's a slightly different report. So if I open up a report here and I go to Tools, you can see in 2012 you have a missing account analysis, which actually, my mistake actually was a great comparison between 2010 and 2012 because I wasn't seeing it in the list. So missing account analysis is new to 2012. And what it does is it looks at the report you are in and it will list any of those accounts that fall within the range of the report but are missing from your report. And if you decide that you want to exclude them from the report, next time you look at the missing account analysis, those won't show up as missing accounts anymore. Okay. Output name versus report definition. So you can see over here under report definition you have all of these report names. And I ran into this with a customer not too long ago, whereas they were generating the report from the designer and then going into the viewer, and they were not seeing this report definition in the viewer. That's because on the output and distribution, you can change the output name and it does not change the report definition. I could say user group P&L September 2013, and that's what I will see in the viewer, but in the designer I will only see this report definition name. So just beware of the output versus report definition name. While we're in this area, I just want to point out some of the options you may not be aware of when you generate to the viewer. You want to make sure that these report options are marked, that it includes your headers and footers, it includes everything that you want to see in the viewer. And also, when you're exporting to Excel, that you include that as well. And you can generate to a single worksheet in Excel. The other checkbox you want to be aware of, in 2012 it's on this page, View Report when generated. So if you don't have this checked off and you generate the report, you then need to launch Management Reporter Viewer separately and find that report. Whereas if you have this checkbox marked and you generate the report, it will automatically launch the viewer and launch that particular report for you. And I'm not sure if I changed the date on this. If I didn't change the date, we may get an error. And while we're waiting for that, it looks like we have a chat message. So back on the dimension set, the dimension set will print as one line item in the report versus multiple. So if you wanted to have each account on a separate line, you wouldn't use a dimension set. And so that report generated 0 amounts, but it launched the viewer. Logos can be added to the reports now. That's in 2010, but I also wanted to point it out to you. So you can see here I've already added it, but I could just go to this Headers and Footers tab within the report definition. click Images, and browse out to any logo or picture that I wanted to insert in the report. And for this report, we have a Fabricam logo that we can see here. It will print on this report. The other thing that you'll see in this window quite a bit of is auto text, whereas it will calculate information for the report. So you can see here I have company name, unit name, period covered. These are all listed under the Insert Auto Text. There's headers that can be automatically calculated, date and time, page number, and there's other items as well. So these can be very popular. One question I get often is that I will get a call and say, and the user will say that I can't change what's in this section. And with one click it doesn't appear, but if you double click you can see that that field opens up for you. And you can also have multiple auto texts in a cell. And you can also type in freeform text if you wanted to add that as well on one of those lines. Analytical accounting. I'm not sure if any of you out there are using analytical accounting, but if you're using analytical accounting, you would need to have, let me go back to my other dev machine now, you would need to have a company set up specifically in Management Reporter that takes into account that it's an analytical accounting report. So I would have to have my regular company in there and then my company with analytical accounting turned on. So that's a little different than FRX. So in this company you have your standard reports in just, Fabricam, but then my company Fabricam with AA, or analytical accounting, is a separate company, so you would build your reports there. So you can very easily print and generate reports with analytical accounting information in Management Reporter. Now let's go back into this Management Reporter webinar. So one thing I didn't show you earlier, I kind of popped out of, is that under the options here, you can automatically apply the cell underline and column headers. But if you're like me, you kind of have this battle with the automatic underline in your columns. So let me show you what I'm speaking of. So if you go into this column here, and if you were to add anything to the header, it automatically defaults with an underline. And that's fine if you just have one item here, but if you had 3 rows, you wouldn't want everything underlined. So you would have to just unmark that format option to be none. So you can change that in your report option by going to Tools, Options, and automatically apply. Oh, let's see, report groups. Let's go back to 2012 now. So we have GP 2013 and Management Reporter 2012 here. So in 2012, you can generate a report to a URL. So if we look here under Options, we have this other checkbox that says Use Management Reporter Viewer as the default viewer. I have that unchecked so that when I generate a report, it's going to go to a URL, which is what happened when I generated this report before. Let's just go to 2017 and see what it looks like. It generates to a URL. So you do have to change that setting in the designer, but it launches the URL from the designer. Now the benefit of this is that if you have light users who you want to have access to the reports, they don't have to have the viewer installed on their desktop. They can just launch these reports via a URL. So you can send those to them, or you can send the link to them through an email. So you see this is all on a web browser. Okay. The next item I wanted to show you is report groups. And forgive my pace, but I wanted to get through all of these different tips and tricks in a reasonable amount of time. So you can set up report groups, and report groups it's a tool that you can use to select multiple groups that perhaps you print all of them at month end, and maybe you have a group of 5 or 6 or 10 reports that you want to generate to the viewer all at once. Well, in the past you had FRX chaining. Now you have report groups in Management Reporter. So I've set up this group to say when I select this report group, all of these reports will generate. So from this report group I could click generate and all 3 of these reports will go to the viewer. And they will go to the location based on each report's setup. So if I have this report going to the viewer in one folder and this going to another folder, they will automatically know to go there. There's really no place to override that. You can come in here and have additional report distribution. So I'm saying use the report group locations. You can override that. So that's your report groups. Report schedules, you can set your reports to automatically generate to the viewer. So if you have your accounting team creating the reports, and then you have your management team waiting on reports, you can have these reports automatically generate to the viewer based on the time that you set. So my report schedule, I'm calling it GP User Group Reports. I'm saying start on the 25th of September, run it monthly, the 15th of every month. So for that report, that report group, I'm going to have generate every month automatically. Did I lose you all? There you are. Okay. It's been one of those weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if I closed the go-to meeting. All right, so there's also an undo, which you never had before in FRX. You always had to make your changes, save, and then do that scary thing that you were afraid was going to blow everything up. So now you have undo. So if you've created a report and you've done a lot of steps that you want to just erase, but you don't want to erase everything you've already done, you do have that nice undo. Seems silly, but it's a big hit. Okay. So let's go over to the viewer now and take a look at what we have here. And I'm just going to launch a report. You can see the date and time stamp on that. And it automatically launches the report based on the last time it was generated from the Management Reporter designer. So you'll notice that you have this drill down ability up here. So if I go to my line items here, I can use drill down up here, or I can double click. But when I go ahead in here, I'm highlighting specific account information. You can see the Dynamics button lights up. That says I want to drill to Dynamics. And so if we're logged into Dynamics, let me just log in very quickly, it will automatically open up the detail inquiry window for that specific account that you just requested in the viewer on that report. So let me just get my password in here. So if you're in the report and you haven't logged in, all you have to do is just get logged in very quickly. Go back to the viewer. And so I see that this is, my 4110 account. I can say go to Dynamics. Let's make sure that it's not giving me an error. And it will launch that Dynamics window for me. So I don't have to take down the account number, then launch GP, go into detail inquiry, enter that GL account number, and try to find the information. I can go right from here. And my system seems to be just minimizing it. So here it is. There's that account number from the report. So you can see there's the account number. There's the period we're looking at, April 2017. And it's showing an April amount of $228.18. And here's all the transactions that make up that balance. And from here, I could drill down and find out even more about that information. So very easy to get back to the information from the viewer. Comments, you may have seen this before. I've shown this before. I'm just going to go back a little bit. I can go back pages, or go back to the report and add a comment on a line item. So maybe these sales are down. I could say sales down due to weather. That's a nice excuse. So when I add that comment, you can see it's here in my comments section, and I can also see it over here on the right. And if I choose to generate these reports to a URL, the comments do show up there. I can also copy this comment. So you can see up here, copy. I can copy that to any other version of this report. So you can see I have several different variations in the viewer. So if someone were to launch it, they would see that comment. I don't have to go to each period and add that over and over again. So let's look at charts. So you can see that we have the ability to create pie charts. And so if I were to select a column here, and this one isn't liking it for some reason, let me launch another report. Here we go. I'm going to select that row, and once I select it, and the way I did that is I highlighted and I right-clicked, and then I can hit my Shift key and arrow down and grab everything I want to be included in the pie chart or the column chart. And I just go up here and I click the icon pie chart, and it creates a pie chart for me. I can also pin that pie chart down so that it's going to stay with the report over here on the right. Pretty easy way to create a chart. And let's see if there's other stuff here. It's not a lot of data in this report. So that's the charts. Those are pretty cool. And let me just page through. Here's my easy paging in the viewer. I can go back and forth. So I'm scrolling through. You can see page 2 of 4. I can go to the end. 4 pages, probably not a big deal to scroll through, but I know that some of you have multiple page P&Ls or balance sheets, and it's very easy to scroll through. So we have in the reports, we have a find option, and under find, we can use find just like you do in other applications. I can say find 217,591 because I know that amount is somewhere. And if I hit enter, it highlights that amount for me. So maybe your balance sheet is off, or maybe your P&L shows it's high, and you're trying to find an amount. That find can be pretty cool. The other is under find the go-to. And what this go-to is showing you is all the headers within the report. So I can jump down here without paging through and finding it. The go-to is also available in the lower left-hand corner of the window. I can jump around in the report very easily without scrolling. Let's see, what else do we have here? Organizing reports in file folders. You can do that in the report library. And you can see right now everything is just in the library. It's not sorted. The way that you can do this is you can right-click and create a new folder. And let's say that my folders, I want them to be by month and year. So I can do a January 2013 folder so that when I'm in the designer, I can then select that folder to export my report to. So if I go to any of these reports here, and I say output, when I select, the library is defaulting, but I can go in and find that folder and send my report to that folder. So if I'm doing a month, then I can select it that way. Perhaps you want to set it up by, whether they're income statements or balance sheets. Or maybe you have a board packet. You can have a board packet. You generate all your reports to the folder, and then you can insert external files, maybe the agenda, maybe the minutes, anything else that you're going to be presenting. Or maybe it's a board packet and they have a light user and they can come right into the viewer and see everything before your meeting. Maybe it's a management folder, whereas you prepare everything in Management Reporter, it's all in one place. That's kind of a nice time saver, nice way to organize. Let's see, we have another question down here. Whoops. Mine is minimizing on me. Let's see. So when you print the reports to paper, I think is the question in the viewer. So the little comment that we saw, let's see, which report was it? This one here. Will those little boxes print on paper? Yes, and you can actually choose to print the comments as well. So if we say print, we can say include the comments. So if you don't want to include the comments, you just uncheck the box. Maybe the comments are just meant for internal use. So we could preview how this is going to look. And I don't recall where I put the comment. Oh, I did put it here. I'm not seeing it though. It's awfully small. Well, my preview isn't showing the comments. It's going to Document Writer. I don't have any printers installed on this machine. But Pete, if you have trouble with those printing, let me know and we can look at it together. My dev machine is not cooperating on that part. And you can see if you wanted to email this link and you have management who doesn't have viewer installed but they are a light user, you could email this link and then they could launch that link into a URL. The other item we have here, well, I guess I shouldn't have checked that because I don't have Outlook operating, so let's just cancel that option. You can also export to Excel, but right beside Excel is an XPS format, which is really kind of a read-only format. It's a document you can use to view or save or share and digitally sign. It's like an electronic piece of paper, so you can't make any changes to it. So it's another option that you have in Management Reporter for exporting the data. So let's see, we have one more question here. Let's see. Okay, so I know I've flown through a lot of information. What I'd like to do is open it up to questions. So I'm going to be unmuting. So if you could unmute, I'm sorry, if you could mute on your end and when you want to speak, maybe unmute, that would be helpful in background noise. So I'm opening it up for questions now.
Can you hear us on the speaker?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know.
Is that Pete?
Yes, yes.
Do you have Cindy with you?
Of course.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have a question for us?
Well, my first question when you were going, it was very helpful. I like the export function of the whole file because sometimes we photocopy things in PDF format, in big reports. So that would be nice to use. We didn't know that. But yeah, my question was the yellow box. Some people might want to know there's a comment there, and some people might not.
Right. Right. It depends on your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. More often than not, I probably would not want them to know there's a comment there, I would think.
Right.
But that was helpful.
Great.
Do we have any specific questions, Cindy?
No.
No, we like the logo opportunity. You know, we don't use that. That was nice. And,
Okay, so is there anyone else on the call that has a question or comment? I know we have quite a few people on the call.
It was nice for you to walk us through. Thank you.
You're welcome. So any questions, anyone? Anything you want to review? Like I said, we went through pretty quickly to cover a lot in just an hour.
Alicia, we just got access to our writer just this week, so we really don't have any questions, but give us a couple of weeks and we might.
Oh, okay. Who's speaking?
Dennis Denomi at Workplace Essentials.
Oh, okay, Dennis. Yeah, you give us a call if you have any questions.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
All right, great. Yeah, Management Reporter is just version 2, so it still has a ways to go. It has some really cool functionality, but it's still, it's still in an infancy stage, really. So still some things we'd like to see. When you export to Excel, it's not exporting your formulas. So if you're expecting to see that, you might have a bit of a surprise. Whereas, with FRX, you could export formulas if you wanted to. With Management Reporter, it's exporting values. So you can go back and put in the formulas, but it's not out of the box doing that right now. Okay, well, I guess we'll end the call for today. Thank you so much for attending. And just as an end note, I just want to let you know that a few things that are going on. Tonight we are sponsoring the Main Biz Women to Watch reception. We have a monthly webinar next month on October 15th, the GP 2013 web client. If you were at the GP user group, you would have seen a bit of that. And then we are attending the Wensoft Synergy Conference down in Orlando next month. I'll be there with a couple of our customers. So if you're using any Wensoft products, look me up, let me know you're going, and I'd be glad to get together with you. So again, thanks for attending. The webinar will be up on our website later today, so you can watch it again if there's anything you missed. If any questions come from that, feel free to give us a call. Thanks again, and have a great day.
Thank you.